Shalom. Call on Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem Rakakwadash. Giving all praises to the Ali Shaider of Israel, the great I am, the possessor of heaven and earth, the spirits of heaven and earth. Come before you in the name of Yahweh Shai, the Adonai, the Hamashiach, the light of this world, the one who died for Israel and rose to sit to become his father's right arm, my Redeemer, my Comforter, and my salvation, and the only one that plead his blood over Israel, the only nation granted for his salvation. Giving all respect to great millstone, the ones who gave me this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding from Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, in the name Yahweh Shai, to his only begotten son Yahweh Shai, and all the way down to the high apostles. Double honors to great millstone. Giving much respect to the Akim, the brothers that's in the word, who push this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, just as well as great millstone. Even though you may not be from great millstone, you still support them, and you still go to the highways and byways and do your work. You go to the highways and byways, and you do the work on the highways and byways, and you be at home doing the work, and you risk your freedom in your life to do so, just as well as these brothers do. Shalom to you. Shalom to the Akwaf, the beautiful women that are in the word. And whether they got a man or not, they still fear the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, in the name Yahweh Shai, and you listen and you learn in silence. Coming back at you with another video, and this video is about superheroes in the Bible. Now today we call them their original name. They are the prophets, but through the power and spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, through his son Yahweh Shai, you can also call them the powers, you know what I'm saying, or Alahayim, which means God, or the powers, or powers. But they did have powers back in the day, so I'll just call them superheroes for short. So the Bible has a dazzling array of beautiful prophets, you know what I'm saying, that are superheroes that did have super strength, and they had supernatural powers through the power and spirit of Yahweh. You know what I'm saying? So we can dive into a couple of them. You know what I'm saying? One of them that I do like was Moses. So we can go into Exodus, and we can go to an account where Moses was, he's a superhero. He's one of the earliest superheroes besides Noah. You know what I'm saying? And he did have supernatural powers from the Most High Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. So let's go to one account where he did some awesome things. Just like your superheroes today, you got Flash, you know what I'm saying, Superman, you know what I'm saying, Flash known for his speed, Superman known to be in all powers, you know what I'm saying, bend a gun, deflect bullets, shoot laser beams from his eyes. He can fly around the world in just a matter of seconds. You know what I'm saying? He could pick up a whole city and throw it. He can go out there and breathe in space. He had multiple powers. Or Batman, you know what I'm saying? Batman, he didn't have any powers, but actually he did. His main power was his intellect and his mind. He was really smart, you know what I'm saying? And he knew all the weaknesses, you know what I'm saying, to the superheroes and the villains. And he was always a step ahead of everybody, you know what I'm saying? So, you got, he not a superhero. Well, what's another superhero? Green Lantern, you know what I'm saying? He uses his ring, and the ring can shaped into different forms and shit, and do different things, so you got another one like Martian Manhunter. He Martian from another universe, and he has telekinesis, and he could shape into people. What's another superhero? Deadpool. He can't be killed, and every time he blown apart, he could pull his body back together. Wolverine, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Wolverine with the adamantium, and him being able to cut through anything with his adamantium, having the strongest steel on Earth. And what's another good hero? Iron Man, you know what I'm saying? Iron Man, he didn't have any powers, but his power was like Batman's, and it was knowledge, you know what I'm saying? That made him super powerful in his technology. So, you got an array of superheroes. So I'm still looking for an account of that moment where Yahweh used Moses to deliver the children of Israel from the hand of the Hamites, which are the ancient Egyptians, freeing us from our captivity and delivering us from the enemy. So we're gonna find that real quick, because that was actually pretty awesome. You know, that the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushai, the name Yahushai, through the power and spirit, he had him, you know what I'm saying, glorify Yahweh through Moses. And when Moses, let's get to that account. Hang on, let me find that account, because it was just awesome. It has to be re-edified. The thick darkness. That's the Passovers. That is the Passover. I'm looking for something. Like, these are laws. Let's go back more, because that was a pretty awesome event. Okay, let me go back. Here we go. Found it. Bam. Let me go right here. Here we go. Where is it? We can read this whole chapter right here. This is Exodus chapter 14, verse 1. It says, Now Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel that they turned and camped before Pi Haroth, between Midgal and the sea, opposite of Bel Zephon. You shall camp before it by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, They are bewildered by the land. The wilderness has closed them in. Then I will harden Pharaoh's heart, so that he will pursue them, and I will gain honor over Pharaoh and over all his army, that the Egyptians may know that I am Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. And they did so. Now it was told the king of Egypt that the people had fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and his servants was turned against the people. And they said, Why have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us? So he made ready his chariot and took his people with him. And he took 600 choice chariots, and all the chariots of Israel with the captains over every one of them. And Yahweh hardened the Pharaoh's heart, nor the heart of the Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued the children of Israel, and the children of Israel went out with boldness. It says, So the Egyptians pursued them, all the horses and the chariots of Pharaoh, his horsemen, and his army, and overtook them camping by the sea of Pi Haroth, before Baal Zephon. And when Pharaoh drew near, the children of Israel lifted their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them. So they were very afraid, and the children of Israel cried out to Yahweh. Then they said to Moses, Because there were no graves in Egypt, have you taken us away to die in the wilderness? Why have you so dealt with us, to bring us up out of Egypt? Is this not the word that we told you in Egypt, saying, let us alone that we may serve the Egyptians. For it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. And Moses said to the people, do not be afraid, stand still and see the salvation of Yahweh, which he will accomplish for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you shall see again no more forever. Yahweh will fight for you, and he shall hold your peace, and you shall hold your peace. And Yahweh said to Moses, why do you cry to me? Tell the children of Israel to go forward, but lift up your rod and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it. And the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I indeed harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them. So I will gain honor over Pharaoh and over all his army, his chariots, and his horsemen. Then the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, when I have gained honor for myself over Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen. And the angel of Yahweh who went before the camp of Israel moved and went behind them, and the pillar of cloud went from before them and stood behind them. So it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel. It was a cloud and darkness to the one, and it gave light by night to the other, so that the one did not come near the other at all the night. So this is the power of he put a barrier over the children of Israel, and he slowed down Pharaoh and his chariots. And it says, then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and Yahweh caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea into dry land, and the waters were divided. So the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea on the dry ground, and on the waters were all. So it says, then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and Yahweh caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night. So there was a lot of children of Israel to cross over. So it stood there all that night until the morning. And so that it was real. They didn't just hurry up and run through and then it collapsed. No, it took time. And the Most High had a barrier, in between Israel, and the angels were protecting them and slowing the chariots down so they could cross over to the dry ground through the water. That's power right there. That's a superhero right there, that the Most High turned Moses into a superhero, and the Most High was glorifying himself through Moses. It says, so the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea on the dry ground, and the waters were a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued and went after them into the midst of the sea, all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. Now it came to pass in the morning watch that Yahweh looked down upon the army of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and cloud, and he troubled the army of the Egyptians. A lot of wind and a lot of fire, but the Pharaoh wouldn't stop. And he took off their chariot wheels so that they drove them with difficulty. Wind and the power and them fires, man, it was burning them people up. But Pharaoh, his heart was still hardened. He still went after them, even seeing something like that, even seeing a gigantic, because a pillar it could mean a pillar. It could stand for a tornado. So it's a giant tornado of fire, and the Most High was looking through it, and he was actually slowing Pharaoh and them down, but Pharaoh would not stop. It says, so they drove them with difficulty, and the Egyptians said, let us flee from the face of Israel, for Yahweh fights for them against the Egyptians. Then Yahweh said to Moses, stretch out your hand over the sea, that the waters may come back upon the Egyptians, on the chariots and on their horsemen. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and when the morning appeared, the sea returned to its full depth while the Egyptians were fleeing into it. So Yahweh overthrew the Egyptians in the sea. Then the waters returned and covered the chariots the horsemen and all the army fell, that they came into the sea after them. Not so much as one of them remained. But the children of Israel had walked on dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. So Yahweh saved Israel day out, no, saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the seashore, because it was a big ass sea that they was walking through, man. And that's tight. It said, call on Yahweh Bashem Yahushua and name Yahushua. The Lord could do great things. And he had his servant, the prophet Moses. It says, thus Israel saw the great work which Yahweh Bashem Yahushua had done in Egypt. So the people feared Yahweh and believed the Lord and his servant Moses. Hallelujah to that. So we can go to another account of another hero. And we can go to, let me go and get the right one. We can go to next. We can go to another legendary hero in the Bible that's called King David. Now, King David was the one who slew Goliath. So we can go and re-innovate on his story. Another legendary prophet, when he slew Goliath, you know, Goliath was a pretty tall guy. He wasn't a giant like everybody considered. He was just really a really tall Hamite. You know what I'm saying? So, and he was like he was buff. He had some armored on him. He's pretty strong. And, you know, David during the time was a child. You know what I'm saying? And everybody around him was an adult. But his faith was so strong and so powerful, God chose him to be the most mightiest of his people. And, you know, the moral of the story with Yahweh Hashem Yahushua and Moses during the time that he split the water, you know what I'm saying? Because the children of Israel was freaking out. And, you know, the Most High test your faith. And at the very end, he would save you, man. He would save you out of death. And that's how a lot of us brothers and sisters going to be. He'll either send a hero or the Most High, or either send the prophets, which are heroes, you know what I'm saying? And save you out of it, or he'll save you out of himself through some sort of way. So, you know, it tells you in the story to trust the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushua even near your death. It may be well with you that the Lord allow you to survive. So we can go to David and Goliath. Because this story got to be re-innovated too. So this is Samuel. So we're going to go to Samuel. Because the heroes, the real heroes, are in the Bible. They are in the Bible. The children of Israel, there have been mighty ones that are risen, and the descendants of Israel were the Most High considers the prophets, and they not only prophets, they are heroes, you know, that the Most High put on the earth to glorify him and his power. So we can go to Samuel chapter 21, verse 9. Because you got to re-innovate on this one. This is where they get Marvel from. This is where they get Street Fighter from. Final Fantasy. You know what I'm saying? This is where they get, especially Final Fantasy Dissidia. You know what I'm saying? When they had Cosmos fighting against Chaos. But the secret about Dissidia was pretty interesting, because the dark side was actually the right side, and the left side was actually the light, and the Cosmos represented the great whore of America, and Chaos represented Yahweh Shai, the son of the Ali Shidra. You know what I'm saying? So they got like good codings in certain video games that, you know, children play, and they have a message in it. You know what I'm saying? And what's another good Marvel, DC? You know what I'm saying? They got all the superheroes. Like the latest movie that I've watched was Eternals. Eternals got a lot to do with the children of Israel, 144,000. You know what I'm saying? 144,000 are the prophets. You know what I'm saying? And the people that that Yahweh Shema Shai deems worthy to be saved off the planet. You know what I'm saying? And what's another good movie that's good to watch? Brightburn. Brightburn is about the superheroes, but when these superheroes come, instead of them being all friendly and all that, they're gonna be slaying the wicked. They're gonna be destroying people, killing people. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna just get straight to it. And anybody that don't have the mark of Yahweh Shema Shai, and you are caught in the vision of the 144,000, which is the Lord's chosen, that's going to get spiritual powers, because these are spiritual powers on the earth. This is what these superheroes have. You know what I'm saying? They will kill them. You know what I'm saying? They will kill them. So, you know, that's why it's so important to have the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai, the name Yahweh Shai on you. So if you don't get that power and you encounter these beings, you know what I'm saying? These beings imbue with the force and the wrath of Yahweh, these prophets, aka these superheroes, when you encounter them, they should be able to see the mark on your forehead and avoid you. You know what I'm saying? Instead of going straight forward to attack you, because that's exactly what's going to happen. A lot of these brothers, you know what I'm saying, they're going to get spiritual powers, and they're going to hurt Esau, his children, and the wicked 2/3 and the nation. They're gonna run through them. They're gonna tear them apart, okay? Because they are part of the wrath of the Most High. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, this is very important for you to know, very detrimental, that those superheroes, you know what I'm saying, that you see, they were already foretold. You know, the white man know the book. It tells you in the Bible that I've made you wiser than Daniel. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that he thinks right now is that he's going to be able to rule the world, and that Yahweh wouldn't intervene, but he's going to be wrong. You know what I'm saying? Yahweh will intervene at the end of the world when the mark of the beast chip is made mandatory and the whole world has it. You know what I'm saying? Except for his elect. When Esau think that he got the world in the palm of his hands and that he is God, that's when Yahweh Shema Shai is going to activate them nuclear bombs, cause the last day of the world. Yahweh Shai is going to come get the elect. You know what I'm saying? Beam up off the chariot, beam up and put them on the chariots. They've done their part, and the Most High is going to destroy them while they're being destroyed by nuclear events. With the rest of the 2/3 of the Negroes, Mexicans, the Indians being left here with the white people, Esau, Edom, and the rest of the nations, and they all going to get their ass whooped. That's exactly how it's going to happen. Being straight up. So, you know, like, what's another group of, you know, animes even tell you the story about the 144,000. What's a good anime? One Punch Man. One Punch Man is about the, you know, the chosen and 144,000 who got powers. My Hero Academia. That's another 144,000 one where the children had powers and all of that and shit, and All Might and shit. You know, he got powers even though they kind of flexed America a little too much and that all that. But we know where they got it from. All these heroes, they come from the core, you know what I'm saying, of Israel, and the core of Israel is Yahweh Shema Shai, giving them spiritual powers in the name of Yahweh Shai. That's why the Most High say, "Are ye not gods?" So a lot of these animes and a lot of these video games, they talk about the old gods. Well, Salakia, they are the gods. You know what I'm saying? So we not gonna call them old gods because we're still here. You know what I'm saying? So we are the gods. We just don't have that spiritual power that we had back in the days, to where I could pick up, you know what I'm saying, a boulder, and I'm Skinny Bone Jones. You know, I pick up a boulder and throw it at my enemies. I don't have that power no more, to where I could just, you know, be like Superman and blow a gale force wind, you know what I'm saying, to blow down the building. We don't have those superpowers. We got it. The Most High said that's too much privilege. It was been removed from you, you know, through time and us turning our backs on Yahweh. We lost our holy powers. So, you know, I just wanted to give you that quick, brief message about that, because that was important. Let's go to Samuel 21, verse 9. Because there's a lot of animes and a lot of movies that talk about the 144,000. What? Some of them, like Bruce Willis, Die Hard. Like, the nigga be going through all kinds of death traps and surviving all kind of explosions. That's how the 144,000 gonna be. They gonna be able to survive the worst of the worst, man. all kinds of bullets, all kinds of explosions, knocking out all kind of guys. Nigga just big ass nigga. This Bruce Willis just dodged a helicopter and barely the propellers barely trimmed him. You know what I'm saying? He survives that. You know, what's another one? Chronicles of Riddick. You know what I'm saying? Chronicles of Riddick is about the Chosen and shit. You know how he surviving and going from planet to planet and shit. That's the 144,000. They adapting to anything. They're unstoppable. Superman, Man of Steel. Yes, of course. What's another movie that got a lot to do with the Chosen ones? Hancock. Hancock had a lot to do with the Chosen ones too. What's another good movie that had something to do with the Avengers Endgame, Avengers, you know, and all kinds of other stories and shit, you know. But we can get to this real quick. It says Psalms 9. We can go to Psalms 9. This one is good. It says, Now, this is Psalms 21, verse 7, chapter 21, verse 7. Now, a certain man of the servants of Saul who was there that day, detained before Yahweh, and his name was Dog. It says, an Edomite, the chief of the herdsmen of who belonged to Saul. And David said to Ahimelech, Is there not here on hand a spear or a sword? For I have brought neither my sword nor my weapons with me, because the king's business required haste. It says, so the priest said, the sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom you killed in the valley of Elah. So we went too far. They allowed me to go too far. Wait. I want to go to the part where he killed him. Samuel 17. It says Samuel 17. We could start from there, I do believe. It says, now the Philistines gathered their armies together to battle and were gathered at Sycho, which belongs to Judah. They encamped between Sycho and Azekah and Ephemes Damim. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together, and they encamped in the valley of Elah and drew up in battle array against the Philistines. The Philistines stood on a mountain on one side. Israel stood on the mountain on the other side, with the valley between them. And the champion went out from the camp. And a champion went out from the camp of the Philistines named Goliath from Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. He had a bronze helmet on his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail. And the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels bronze. And he had bronze armor on his legs, and a bronze javelin between his shoulders. Now the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his iron spearhead weighed 600 shekels. So he was a pretty tall guy, pretty buff guy, pretty holding on the best armor and all that. And his shield bearer went before him. Then he stood and cried out to the armies of Israel and said to them, Why have you come out to line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine, and you the servants of Saul? Choose a man for yourselves, and let him come down to me. If he is able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then you shall be our servants and serve us. It says, and the Philistines said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. It says, when Saul and all of Israel heard these words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Now David was the son of that Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse. It says, and who had 8 sons, and the man was old, advanced in years in the days of Saul. The 3 oldest sons of Jesse had gone to follow Saul to the battle. The names of the 3 sons who went out to battle were Eliab, the firstborn. Next to him was Abinadab, and the third was Shammah. David was the youngest, and the 3 oldest followed Saul. It says, but David occasionally went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. And the Philistines drew near and presented himself 40 days, morning and evening. Then Jesse said to his son David, take now for your brothers an ephah, it says, of this dried grain and these 10 loaves, and run to your brothers at the camp, and carry these 10 cheeses to the captain of their 1,000, and see how your brothers fare, and bring back news of them. Now Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistines. So David rose early in the morning, left the sheep with the keeper, and took the things, and went as Jesse had commanded him. And he came to the camp as the army was going out to the fight, and shouting for the battle. For Israel and the Philistines had drawn up in battle array, army against army. And David left his supplies in the hand of the supply keeper, ran to the army, and came to greet his brothers. Then as he talked with them, there was the champion, the Philistines of Gath, Goliath by name, coming up from the armies of the Philistines, and he spoke according to the same words. So David heard them. All the men of Israel, when they saw the man, they fled from him and were dreadfully afraid. So the men of Israel said, have you seen this man who has come up? Surely he has come up to defy Israel. And it shall be that the man who kills him, the king will enrich with great riches, will give him his daughter, and give him his father's house exemption from taxes in Israel. Damn, that's a lot. Then David spoke to the men who stood by him, saying, what shall be done for this man who kills the Philistines and takes away the reproach from Israel? For who is the uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living Yahweh? It says, and the people answered him in this manner, saying, shall it be done for the man who kills him? Now Eliab, his oldest brother, heard when he spoke to the men, and Eliab's anger was aroused against David, because he was a child. And he said, why do you come down here? And with whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know your pride and the insolence of your heart, for you have come down to see the battle. It says, and David said, what have I done now? Is there not a cause? Then he turned from him toward another and said the same thing. And these people answered him as the first ones did. Now, when the words which David spoke were heard, they reported them to Saul, and he sent for him. Then David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Your servant will go and fight with the Philistine. And Saul said to David, you are not able. Saul said to David, you are not able to fight against this Philistine to fight with him. No, you are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him. For you are youth, and he a man of war from his youth. But David said to Saul, your servant used to keep his father's sheep. It says, and when a lion or a bear came and took a lamb out of the flock, I went after it and struck it and delivered the lamb from its mouth. And when it arose against me, I caught it by its beard and struck it and killed it. So he had spiritual powers. He had power. Even when he was young, he was fighting lions and bears. It says, your servant has killed both lion and bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them. seeing he has defied the armies of the living Yahweh. Moreover, David said, the Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear, he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said to David, go, and Yahweh be with you. So Saul clothed David with his armor, and he put on a bronze helmet on his head. He also clothed him with a coat of mail. David fastened his sword to his armor and tried to walk, for he had not tested them. And David said to Saul, I cannot walk with these, for I have not tested them. So David took them off. He said, whoa, this is too heavy. It says, then he took his staff in his hand, and he chose for himself 5 smooth stones from the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag, and a pouch which he had. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. So the Philistine came and began drawing near to David, and the man who bore the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was only a youth. He was a small boy, ruddy and good looking, meaning that he was kind of dirty, but he was beautiful. It says, so the Philistine said to David, am I a dog that you come to me with sticks? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. Then David said to the Philistine, you come to me with a sword, with a spear, and with a javelin. But I come to you in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Lord of armies, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defiled. This day Yahweh will deliver you into my hand, and I will strike you and take your head from you. And this day I will give the carcass of the camp of the Philistines to the birds of the air and the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is Yahweh in Israel. There is a God in Israel. Or that Yahweh dwells in Israel. It says, then all this assembly shall know that Yahweh Hashem Yahushai does not save with sword and spear, for the battle is Yahweh's, and he will give you into our hands. He wasn't playing. It says, so it was when the Philistine arose and came and drew near to meet David. Then David hurried and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. Then David put his hand in his bag and took out a stone, and he slung it and struck the Philistine in his forehead, so that the stone sank into his forehead, and he fell on his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone, and he struck the Philistine and killed him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood over the Philistine, and took his sword and drew it out of its sheath, and killed him, and cut it off his head with it. And when the Philistines saw that the champion was dead, they fled. So that was another great account. Hang on, I gotta get my charger. Hallelujah, that's awesome. Come on. My phone is about to die. That was a good story. Great story. Awesome. That was awesome. We can go to Samson real quick too. That one brought me up. And as you can see, you know what I'm saying, and that also put faith in my heart. Even the smallest and the weakest of us can have faith, and that faith can give us major spiritual power from Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, in the name of Yahushai. And the Most High, sometimes the Lord ain't looking for the buffest man. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the Lord ain't looking for, you know what I'm saying, the guy with all the guns and the armored and he action-packed. Sometimes the Most High could get the smallest and the weakest of us to defeat the greatest of our enemies. And that story was pretty amazing. He's also a legendary hero, you know what I'm saying, King David, and he bore King Solomon, who is Yahushai. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, King David was legendary. You know what I'm saying? He was powerful before the Most High. Like they said, he was small, he was ruddy, but he was beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And the Most High allowed him to prevail, you know, and he was actually training him in the wilderness and his spiritual powers, you know what I'm saying, by fighting bears and lions. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's another account. So we can go to Samson. in the Bible. Now, Samson was good. You know why? Because a lot of legends were taken from Samson, like the legend of Hercules. Now that was kind of a low blow to the children of Israel. How the white man would steal such a great legend from us and then twist it and bend it and make it his own. You know what I'm saying? Out of all the gods are fake. You know what I'm saying? The gods of Zeus and Aphrodite. You know what I'm saying? Of Hades, uh uh um Hades, what's another fake god? What's another one? Poseidon, you know? These fake ass gods, you know what I'm saying? And they were all stolen and they were all made up. Made up. So we can go to another account, because David, Hercules is David, and they stole that story from Samson is Hercules. The white people stole it and made it their own when Samson was in the Bible. Let me see. Let's get to it. Samson. Judges 13:24. He was among the judges. And this one was actually pretty good. I forgot what they call him. But right now it don't matter. My mind is on explaining his story and how great he was, because he was another legend too. Very powerful. And they stole his legend from, no, they made up Hercules off the legend of Samson. So we can go to Judges. Judges 13:24. This is Judges. No, this is Joshua. We go backwards. Backwards. Wait. There you go. After Deuteronomy, it was the Judges. This is Joshua right here. Judges 13. It also tells you the story about how he was wrestling the lion, and they called it the Nemean lion in ancient Greece, but it was actually Samson just putting the lion in the headlock. But you know, they took the story of Hercules and copied it from Samson. And I heard that according to the legend, Samson was a very beautiful, you know, Israelite with 7 dreadlocks. And he was a Nazarite. So Nazarites, they had dreads, but at some point they cut their dreads off because having long hair is feminine. The Most High say you can't have your hair long, you know, but in this case, he was a Nazarite, so it was different. 24. Oh, you fly. So we can start up here, because this is the story of Samson, one of the other legendary heroes that's mentioned in the Bible. It says, Joshua 13, verse 1, again, the children of Israel did evil in the sight of Yahweh, and Yahweh delivered them into the hand of the Philistines for 40 years. Now there was a certain man from Zorah of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren and had no children. And then the angel of Yahweh appeared to the woman and said to her, indeed now, it says, indeed now, you are barren and have borne no children, but you shall receive and bear a son. Now therefore, please be careful not to drink wine or similar drink, and not to eat anything unclean. For behold, you shall conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come upon his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite to Yahweh from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. So the woman came and told her husband, saying, a man of Yahweh came to me, and his countenance was like the countenance of the angel of Yahweh, very awesome. But I did not ask him where he was from, and he did not tell me his name. But he said to me, Behold, you shall conceive and bear a son, nor now drink no wine or similar drink, nor eat anything unclean, for the child shall be a Nazarite to Yahweh from the womb to the day of his death. Then Manoah prayed to Yahweh and said, O my Lord Yahweh, please let the man of Yahweh whom you sent come to us again and teach us what we shall do for the child who will be born. And Yahweh said to the voice of Manoah, and the angel of Yahweh came to the woman again as she was sitting in the field, but Manoah, her husband, was not with her. Then the woman ran in haste and told her husband and said to him, Look, the man who came to me the other day has just now appeared to me. So Manoah arose and followed his wife. When he came to the man, he said to him, Are you the man who spoke to this woman? And he said, I am. Manoah said, Now let your words come to pass. What will the boy's rule of life and what will be the boy's rule of life and his work? So the angel of Yahweh said to Manoah, All of that I said to the woman, let her be careful. She may not eat anything that comes from the vine, nor may she drink wine or similar drink, nor eat anything unclean. All that I have commanded her, let her observe. Then Manoah said to the angel of Yahweh, Please let us detain you, and we will prepare a young goat for you. And the angel of Yahweh said to Manoah, Though you detain me, I will not eat your food. But if you offer a burnt offering, you must offer it to Yahweh. For Manoah did not know he was the angel of Yahweh. Then Manoah said to the angel of Yahweh, What is your name? That when your words come to pass, we may honor you. And the angel of Yahweh said to him, Why do you ask my name, seeing it is wonderful? It says, So Manoah took the young goat with the grain offering and offered it upon the rock of Yahweh. And he did a wondrous thing while Manoah and his wife looked on. It happened as the flame went up toward heaven from the altar, the angel of Yahweh ascended in the flame of the altar. Wow. Now that's beautiful. When Manoah and his wife saw this, they fell on their faces to the ground. When the angel of Yahweh appeared no more to Manoah and his wife, then Manoah knew that he was the angel of Yahweh. And Manoah said to his wife, We shall surely die, because we have seen Yahweh. But his wife said to him, If Yahweh had desired to kill us, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and a grain offering from our hands, nor would he have shown us all these things, nor would he have told us such things as these at this time. So the woman bore a son and called his name Samson. And the child grew, and Yahweh blessed him. And the spirit of Yahweh began to move upon him at Mahanaim, Dan, between Zorah and Eshtaol. Now Samson went down to Timnah and saw a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. So he went up and told his father and mother, saying, I have seen a woman of Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. Now therefore get her for me as a wife. Then his father and his mother said to him, Is there no woman among the daughters of your brethren, or among all my people, that you must go and get a wife from the uncircumcised Philistines? And those are their former enemies, Israel's former enemies. And Samson said to his father, Get her for me, for she pleases me well. But his father and his mother did not know that it was of Yahweh that he was seeking an occasion to move against the Philistines. For the time the Philistines had dominion over Israel. So Samson went down to Timnah with his father and mother, and came to the vineyards of Timnah. Now to his purpose, a young lion came roaring against him. There's that part where Hercules had fought the Nemean lion. That was a lie. It was actually Samson who fought the Nemean lion, and a white man had the story inspired of Hercules from Samson. It says, And the spirit of Yahweh came mightily upon him, and he tore the lion apart as a would have as one would have torn apart a young goat, though he had nothing in his hand. But he did not tell his father or his mother what he had done, because he had super strength. He was really big. Then he went down and talked with the woman, and she pleased Samson well. After some time, when he returned to get her, he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion, and behold, a swarm of bees and honey were in the carcass of the lion. He took some of it in his hands and went along eating. When he came to his father and mother, he gave some to them, and they also ate. But he did not tell them that he had taken the honey out of the carcass of the lion. So his father went down to the woman, and Samson gave a feast there, for young men used to do so. It says, and it happened when they saw him that they brought 30 companions to be with him. Then Samson said to them, let me pose a riddle to you. If you can correctly solve and explain it to me within 7 days of the feast, then I will give you 30 linen garments and 30 changes of clothing. But you cannot explain it to me. But if you can explain it to me, then you shall give me 30 linen garments and 30 changes of clothing. And they said to him, pose your riddle, that we may hear it. So he said to them, out of the eater came something to eat, and out of the strong came something sweet. Now for 3 days they could not explain the riddle. But it came to pass on the 7th day that they said to Samson's wife, entice your husband, that he may explain the riddle to us, or else we will burn you and your father's house with fire. Have you invited us in order to take what is ours? Is that not so? Then Samson's wife wept on him and said, you only hate me. You do not love me. You have posed a riddle to the sons of my people, but you have not explained it to me. And he said to her, look, I have not explained it to my father or my mother, so should I explain it to you? Now he said, now she had wept on him the 7 days while the feast lasted. And it happened on the 7th day that he told her, because she pressed him so much. Then she explained the riddle to the sons of her people. So the men of the city said to him on the 7th day before the sun went down, what is sweeter than honey, and what is stronger than a lion? It says, and he said to them, if you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have solved my riddle. It says, then the Spirit of Yahweh came upon him mightily, and he went down to Escalon and killed 30 of their men, took their apparel, and gave the changes of the clothing to those who had explained the riddle. It says, so his anger was aroused, and he went back up to his father's house, and Samson's wife was given to his companion, who had been his best man. After a while, in the time of the wheat harvest, it happened that Samson visited his wife with a young goat, and he said, let me go into my wife into her room, but her father would not permit him to go in. Her father said, I really thought that you have thoroughly hated her. Therefore I gave her to your young companions, to your companion. Is it not her younger sister better than she? Please take her instead. And Samson said to him, this time I shall be blameless regarding the Philistines if I harm them. It says, then Samson went and caught 300 foxes, and he took torches and turned the foxes tail to tail, and put a torch between each pair of tails. When he had set the torches on fire, he let the foxes go into the standing grain of the Philistines and burned up the stalks and the standing grain, as well as the vineyards and olive groves. Then the Philistines said, who has done this? And they answered, Samson, the son-in-law of the Timnite, because he has taken his wife and given her to his companion. So the Philistines came up and burned her and her father with fire. Samson said to them, since you will do a thing like this, I will surely take revenge on you, and after that I will cease. So he attacked the hip and the thigh with a great slaughter. Then he went down and dwelt in the cleft of the rock of Etam. Now the Philistines went up and encamped in Judah and deployed themselves against Lehi. It says, and the men of Judah said, why have you come up against us? So they answered, we have come up to arrest Samson. Do to him as he has done to us. 3 100,000 men of Judah went down to the cleft of the rock of Adam and said to Samson, "Do you not know that the Philistines rule over us? What is this you have done to us?" And he said to them, "As they did to me, so as I have done to them." But they said to him, "We have come down to arrest you, that we may deliver you into the hands of the Philistines." Then Samson said to them, "Swear to me that you will not kill me yourselves." So they spoke to him, saying, "No, but we will tie you securely and deliver you into their hand. But we will surely not kill you." And they bound him with 2 ropes and brought him up from the rock. When he came to Lehi, the Philistines came shouting against him. Then the Spirit of Yahweh mightily came upon him, and the ropes that were on his arms became like flax that he burned with fire. So they also get the Hulk from this one too. I'm glad that name came up. They get the Hulk from Samson. You know what I'm saying? Because Samson, you know what I'm saying? The Spirit of the Lord became on Samson, and Samson, he was already buff as hell, but he didn't have the strength. So the Spirit of Yahweh came mightily upon him, and that the ropes that were on his arms became like flax that is burned with fire, and his bonds broke loose from his hands. He found a fresh jawbone of a donkey, reached out his hand and took it, and killed 1,000 men with it, and one shall chase 1,000. Amen. Then Samson said, "With the jawbone of a donkey, heaps upon heaps with the jawbone of a donkey, I have slain 1,000 men." So that one was good. I'm not going to read too much in the account. Afterwards, they arrested him, and Samson pulled down the pillars on him, and he killed everybody. Afterwards he was tricked, and the woman that he was with wanted to know the secret, you know what I'm saying, of his power. And the Most High said, "If you tell him the secret of your power, I'm going to take your power from you." So he told the woman of the secret of his power, and his power was in his hair, his locks. So the woman, while he fell asleep, the woman cut his locks off, and then some men came and beat him up and arrested him. And I think it was before the Philistines king or whatever, and he got mad, and some of the power returned to him, and he pulled down the pillars, killing himself and taking the Philistines with him. But you know, he killed 1,000 Philistines, you know what I'm saying, with the jawbone of a donkey, you know what I'm saying. And he was that powerful. He killed 1,000 men by himself, man. You know what I'm saying. Now 1,000 men could jump one man without no power, but with that kind of power, you know what I'm saying, that Hulk power that he got from Yahweh, and that rage, you know what I'm saying, because he killed his wife, you know what I'm saying, they killed the innocent people to get back at Samson, you know, and it was all a part of the Most High's plan to overthrow the Philistines, you know what I'm saying, during that time. So, you know, Samson, you know, was the perfect hero for that moment, and Samson went and whooped their ass, man. He went and tore their ass apart, you know, and that was another account of a legendary hero. So I'm going to go to a part 2 of this, called on Yahweh Shem Yahushai and name Yahushai, and we're going to go to a part 2 of this, and then get to some more of these heroes, because this is actually pretty good.